Hi, I'm Jessica Lahr, and welcome to another edition of FLX Weekly here at FingerLakes1.com on Wednesday, September 14th, 2016. I will get it straight. I'm joined here in studio with FingerLakes1.com President Jim Sinicropi, lead news editor Josh Durso, and network administrator Jessamy Uticone. And while we were sound testing earlier, I ran through my first line, and it was perfect, and Jessamy totally jinxed me and said I would mess it up, and I did.
Pull it together, Jess.
Oh, a little taste of fall-like weather we enjoyed on, the weekend into the beginning of the week. I know I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
It is.
Welcome change.
Nice.
It is. It's my favorite time of year, personally. I love sweatshirt weather. Comfy.
Sweater weather.
Comfy.
Sweater weather is here.
Yes. Well, I have the official FingerLakes1.com local weather report, and let's just get started. Friday will be absolutely gorgeous under sunny skies with a high in the mid-70s and an overnight low around 60. Saturday will be mostly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers and a high in the upper 70s. A better chance of rain overnight into early Sunday morning. Sunday will be mostly cloudy with a high in the upper 70s and a 50% chance of showers. As always, check out the latest forecast and live radar at the local weather center at FingerLakes1.com. Josh, what's in the news this week?
All right, so a long and another depressing week in the news here in the Finger Lakes. The first story last Friday, Assemblyman and conservative talk radio host Bill Nojay shot himself, killed himself at a Rochester cemetery. His lawyer had received a text message saying that he was going to take his own life. He was facing a number of legal battles. By the time police got there, he was just in the process of taking his life, and unfortunately they were not able to stop it. That said, it happened just 4 days before his primary race against Honeyway Falls Mayor Richard Milne for the...
Which he won, post-mortem.
Yeah, he actually won the race, which is probably one of the more interesting things that came out of the primary day yesterday. There were a lot of different angles to the story, whether it was the federal fraud charges or what legally is going to happen next with the charges that he was facing. There's some speculation about whether any of it will become public knowledge or not.
He was scheduled to be a guest on your show next month.
Next week.
Oh, next week.
He was scheduled
next
week. So some programming changes on Inside the FLX in the coming weeks because of that.
How many times you see the conservative right-wing, far right-wing media type or political type, actually it doesn't need to be conservative right-wing, but usually the far right or far left or whatever, but in this case right, because they're usually the moral watchdog,
Yeah.
do exactly the stuff they rail against.
Yeah.
He stole $1 million from a trust fund.
Yeah. And potentially another $1 million from a Cambodian dentist. So a lot of legal battles. He certainly wasn't guaranteed to win his general election in November. So very interesting to see how that goes moving forward. Primary night results from around the Finger Lakes. The big race was the 54th district. It quickly became a two-man/two-man and woman race. Pam Helming, Canandaigua Supervisor Floyd Rayburn, they were and they remain in a dead heat for that Republican nomination. That said, FingerLakes1.com is not calling anyone a winner yet. They are separated by 193 votes. A little over 11,000 votes have been cast in all, and about 1,400 absentee ballots remain to be counted. Helming did release a statement last night around 11:30, sort of claiming victory and saying basically thank you to all my supporters. But Rayburn is still very much in the mix, and he believes there are enough votes in the absentees to get him back over the top.
Helming viewed as the establishment candidate, the state GOP's candidate.
Yep.
Which seems unlikely because they generally are mobilized more on the absentee side of things, so that would make me feel like Helming's probably got this. But, yeah, she's the establishment candidate. Mankeltow and Rayburn, kind of the pro-business Albany outsider type of candidates, and they cannibalized each other.
In Wayne County specifically.
Right.
But that said, the line now to watch...
They didn't literally eat each other.
No,
they cannibalized votes.
Yeah. The line to watch now is the reform line. If Rayburn is able to get a majority, there's only 18 voters in the whole district. If he's able to get enough there, the split vote theory, the three-way race, will definitely happen, and that will be a problem for Helming and for Rayburn that no one has really wanted to talk too much about yet. Some of the other races that were on the tab yesterday. Jason Cook defeats Valerie Gardner for Yates County Judge. He will be the Republican nominee for that race.
That's a bit of an upset.
Yeah, it is. Matthew Conlon, he also beat Valerie Gardner for Yates County Judge on the Democratic line. She was running on essentially every line you could possibly imagine. And she was also accused of one of her people having some signatures forged along the way. So that was a very tentative race, I think. Donald Ross defeated Kelly Allen for Sodas Town Council. He will be the Republican nominee in November. Terrence Robinson defeated Brian Dennis for Ontario County Judge. Conservative ticket there. Brian Dennis will appear in November on the general ballot. He also captured one of the other lines. And then Dean Buxick, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, defeated Frank Beretta for Bristol Town Justice in that race by a count of 6-0 total votes. Wow. 6 votes to 0 votes.
Way to turn out, Town of Bristol, GOP.
Generally speaking, that was the MO across the whole state. Across the board of Elections has been saying that turnout was terrible. Pretty much with having 3 primaries in 1 year, like New York State has, it's a waste of tax money, and it's also a big challenge on getting people out to vote.
There's not going to be any problem with voter turnout in November. It's a presidential election, the 54th district election. It's going to be probably one of the best turnouts locally in a long time, and we're looking forward to our election night coverage, which is one of the most popular things we do all year up here in studio.
It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Great.
It is going to be awesome.
Great. Well, what's going on this weekend, Jessamy?
So many things again. But the biggest of all the things is the Geneva YMCA. They're hosting their 3rd annual Finger Lakes Brewfest at the Geneva Event Center on Saturday. That's this Saturday from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's 4 hours of Brewfest activity. Now, build It's Good for What Ails You. Finger Lakes Brewfest features tastings from some of the best small breweries in the area, local food specialties, musical entertainment, all along the shores of beautiful Seneca Lake.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
So if you're into
beer,
but if you're also into food.
I was going to say, who isn't into food?
Musical live entertainment. It just says live entertainment. We're assuming music. Could be a juggler, a magician. You never know. Or if you are a big fan of lakes, especially Seneca Lake, this is the event to go to.
And it might kind of be, or what is this going to be, the 3rd weekend? It might be one of the last chances to really get outside and have a good weekend event.
And the weather is supposed to be A-okay?
I hope it's not the last chance.
It's certainly one of the last chances. We're winding down here.
Yeah. Winter is coming, my friend.
Yes.
So you need tickets. Well, you don't. You can pay at the door, but it's going to be $35. If you get tickets in advance, it's only $25.
It's $25 if you get them advanced. It's free parking. Admission to the event, you get a commemorative glass.
That's awesome.
And you get 20 beer tastings.
Ooh.
I know.
And that's the amazing thing about this event is there are so many local craft breweries. When I say local, statewide craft breweries. Why don't you run down the list of some of these guys? And if you've tried one of these, let us know.
I have. And I will. You guys familiar with Ballast Point Brewing Company? They make a grapefruit sculpin and Big Eye. I've had the grapefruit sculpin. I've never had the Big Eye.
Grapefruit
and I've had the
beer.
regular sculpin. Both good. Delicious. Grapefruit has a little zest to it, a little citrus overtones. I have had that one. Sierra Nevada Brewing is going to be there with their Oktoberfest, very timely, and the Otravest, which is I've had both of those, both good. Can I say that I don't like certain things?
Well, it's a personal preference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ithaca Brewing Company will be there with Flower Power and their Hellish Lager. The Flower Power is a very hoppy IPA style beer. Very hoppy. Sam Adams will be there with their Oktoberfest and 20 pounds of pumpkin ale. Pounds of ale. I don't know how much that is.
Pumpkin.
Is Prison City going to be represented?
I was looking through this, and Prison City is not represented, which I find strange.
Wow.
As they were just voted the number one IPA.
Empire Brewing Company.
By, what was the magazine?
Can't even remember.
I can't remember.
IPA Today.
They won. It's a pretty prestigious honor to be. They tested like 200 IPAs, and they were voted number one in a blind taste test.
Empire
Prison
Brewing
City.
Company, Saranac Brewing, Hamburg Brewing,
Harpoon
Brewing Company,
Custom
UFO
Brew
Pumpkin,
Crafters will be there with Caged Alpha Monkey and other IPA.
Flying Bison.
Yeah. Lion and Kugel will be there. Everybody likes Lion and Kugel. They like the summer shandies and the other shandies, and they make those. Those are good. Genesee will be there. Angry Orchard will be there with their delicious crisp ciders.
Some cider.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
Let's see. Brooklyn will be there. Goose will be there. Omegang will be there. Also great beer. New Belgium Fat Tire. Great beer. Rootstock Cider Works will be there. Lake Placid Brewing will be there. Rohrbox will be there.
I love Rohrbox.
1911 will be there. That's a local favorite.
Rohrbox Scotch Ales.
Yeah,
I drank
Scotch
a lot of back in the day in Rochester. They have a restaurant up there with the brewery on site.
Oh, cool.
Great Lakes will be there. And Southern Tea will be there with their 2X IPA.
And Pumpkin.
And Pumpkin. Pumpkin. It's a play on pumpkin.
I see what they did there.
Fun and delicious.
Now,
and
just the Geneva YMCA program director, Mary Bakogiannis, I believe I got that right.
Yeah, I think you did.
Said, "We are excited to present over 20 craft breweries from in and around the Finger Lakes region. While this event is a fundraiser for the Y, that's short for YMCA, which is already short for something else. The event is a celebration of the Finger Lakes and what makes this area unique. Our lakes, local food, music, and the increasing popularity of craft breweries, which is a fact."
True.
Jack.
Absolutely. Yep.
And as you mentioned, it's $30 if you're not there in advance and you buy tickets the day of. Finger Lakes Brewfest will once again partner with Wright Beverage Distributing. Tickets are on sale now at the Geneva YMCA. That's located at 399 William Street in Geneva, or by ordering online at www.brownpapertickets.com. I guess they're probably not brown, but maybe they are. Tickets are limited as the last two Finger Lakes Brewfests sold out in advance. So get them quick if you want to go.
So definitely, if you're thinking about it, go.
Top event of September.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, that's great.
In Geneva.
And the lakefront is done in Seneca Lake. It's so beautiful. Seneca Lake lakefront right there.
And the weather looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to that. And I'm going to buy my tickets in advance.
You better, or you're going to miss out.
So
we'll get a full report next week.
And if people watch and want to meet me, I'll be signing autographs.
Go meet Joe Theory at...
Meet me. Let's see, what else? There are other events. Area food trucks make a pit stop at Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack on Friday night, serving up artisan foods from 5 to 8:30 p.m., family-friendly activities, live music again from Trist. All ages are welcome. That's with a Y. Mm-hmm. Trist with a Y, yeah. Let's see. More music. The Springwater Music Fair and American Craft Show has expanded to 2 days and will be held on Saturday and Sunday this weekend in Wayland. Mm-hmm. With a full spectrum of music, including the traditional fiddling music you've been coming to hear year after year, mixed with the folk Americana, bluegrass, Zydeco, R&B, Cajun, and more. Longer performances on 2 stages. 2 days, 2 stages.
What a variety.
I know it. Artisans from across our New York state will also be offering handcrafted items. Main stage bands include Bobby Henry and the Gunners, great band. Brothers Blue, that's clever. Howie Lester, Lil Annie and the Hot Cayenne.
Nice.
The Buddha Hood, they're from Rochester. The Crawdaddies, the Daddy Brothers, and Watkins and the Rapiers. And for more information, you can visit springwatermusicfair.org. Mm-hmm. Look at that fiddleman. See that guy?
That's fun.
Also, lastly, 49th Annual Palmyra Canaltown Days on Saturday and Sunday with 120 craft booths, 70 market vendors, and food for all tastes. Promotional items are available for souvenirs, wagon rides, Everybody loves wagon rides.
Oh,
Guided tours, a car show, 5K race. Everybody likes 5K race.
Sure do.
And village museums and antique shops to tour. And if that's not enough to fill your weekend events, there are more events on our community calendar at fingerlakes1.com.
Fall in the Finger Lakes really brings the events.
It is a
People
busy weekend.
Bringing it
It's like you said, people are getting out, get that last
It's the last
taste
hurrah.
of, yeah.
Yes. And lots of sports stuff going on, too.
Yes,
all back.
football season's back. I have some sports here for you to report for this weekend.
Sporting news.
Syracuse hosting South Florida at 3:30 in the Carrier Dome on Saturday. Tickets online at carrierdome.com. You can watch the broadcast on ACC Network Extra. I'm not exactly sure what channel that might be, maybe Time Warner Cable Sports, but it's available online as well. Syracuse 1-1. This is their second out of conference game. Hopefully get to 2-1, but they're 12-point underdogs. The Buffalo Bills get a quick turnaround. They play tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football on NFL Network and streamed live on Twitter as part of a new initiative for the NFL. They're playing the Jets, Rex Ryan's former team, the Jets. So they didn't score many points on Sunday in their loss to the Ravens. We'll see how they do against the Jets on Thursday night. Local high school football schedule. Friday night, you got Waterloo at Penn Yan. Then you got Palmyra at Geneva, Newark at Mid-Lakes, Marcus Whitman at South Seneca /Romulus/T-Burg, Canandaigua at Spencerport, Pittsburgh at Victor. Victor's got a really good team. So is Canandaigua. Minders at Clyde Savannah at 7:30. All those other games kick off at 7. And then Saturday, it's Attica at Red Jacket, Dundee at Lions, and Wayne at East Rochester Gananda. So, the Syracuse basketball schedule has been released.
There it is.
And there's some of the highlights on your screen right there. Friday, they open against Colgate on November 11th, Friday, November 11th. Then Tuesday, November 29th, they're at Wisconsin as part of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Georgetown comes back to the Dome on Saturday, December 17th for a noon tip. And then I think that date's wrong. Monday, December 5th versus UConn. I think that's more like the 20th. I don't know, but they're playing UConn at Madison Square Garden on ESPN2 in December. They open their ACC conference slate on New Year's Day against dirty Boston College. Those dastardly Eagles. Terrible, terrible program. And then on Monday, January 16th at North Carolina. That is on Big Monday on ESPN. Saturday, February 4th versus Virginia, a rematch of that great Elite 8 game from last year that propelled Syracuse to the Final Four. Monday, February 13th, Louisville comes to town. And then Wednesday, February 22nd, 2 days after my birthday.
3 days before mine.
Well, we should have people buy us tickets
celebrate.
for the Duke game, which is at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night, which is kind of strange night for that. And they only played Duke once this year as opposed to twice, so they won't be going down to Cameron. Also in the news, sports news this week, U.S. Mid-Am Championship was taking place in Pennsylvania. I mentioned that because two golfers with local ties participated. Mike Stackus Jr. of Waterloo qualified for, it's a national championship, the Mid-Am, for ages 25 to 50 or whatever it would be, mid-amateur. But he lost in the first round, and then David May of Auburn qualified and won his first 2 matches to make it to the round of 8, which this morning I just checked about 10 minutes ago, and he was 4 down on the 14th hole, so not looking good for David May, but way to represent Mike Stackus Jr. and David May. Also, Newark's Ron Saravolo and South Seneca grad Aaron Farney are among this year's Section 5 Basketball Hall of Fame inductees, which was announced this week. And the Washington Nationals extended their agreement with the Auburn Doubledays, their affiliation. So that's great news if you like baseball.
Yes. Awesome.
So there we go. That's the sports.
Lots of going on. All right, well, let's jump into the photos, shall we?
We shall.
Our first photo this week comes from Rachel Burkholder, as this pair of horses were seen grazing in a field off Route 96 near Fayette on Thursday morning.
Gorgeous.
No, they're horses.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert Stopper sent in this photo of the Cottonwood, a 1987 Gozzard 36 sailboat from Port Dover, Ontario, docked in Lyons on the Erie Canal on Friday evening. Only 83 Gozzards were ever manufactured in Canada.
Huh.
It's pretty cool.
One of 83. I think that's actually number 29 is what the caption on our site said.
Oh, really? That's neat.
29 of 83.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at the next one. These cloud formations were seen over Ovid last week. This was photographed by Howard Schler.
It looks like a gigantic forest fire, doesn't it?
Look like a fire.
It's crazy. So cool. And we close with 3 photos from Lori Dirks.
Lori, thank you for sending these. You hadn't sent photos in a while. Your photos are wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's just gorgeous. Here, the waves roll in at Bear Creek Harbor on Lake Ontario on Saturday evening.
That's awesome.
So beautiful. And a pair of scenes on a sunny Saturday last weekend at a farm on Jacobs Road in Macedon.
Look at that inquisitive cow.
Did you know that chocolate milk comes from brown cows?
I heard
that. That's right. And
One more.
I don't have anything for this.
I'll tell
but
you
that's
what it is, Jessica.
absolutely.
That's a scene of a farm. There's through some corn stalks.
Yeah.
On the left there, you'll see, and there's a barn in the distance with the silo.
Same farm as the last photo, just no cows.
Also an excellent sunlight diffusion there.
Gorgeous.
Very cool.
The rays of the sun. Beautiful.
Good job, Lori Dirks.
Yes, thank
you.
you.
www.loridirks.com, DIRKX.com if you want to check out more of her work, or check out our photo gallery page.
Yes, lots more there. Be sure to send us your photos directly to contact@fingerlakes1.com to add to our local gallery and to see if you'll be making a debut in next week's show. Jim, what's going on? Tell us what's going on in the Finger Lake at fingerlakes1.com as far as the network highlights.
Well, on last Friday, Seneca County historian Walter Gable was in studio again with another outstanding edition of our Finger Lakes History podcast, and this was a second of what's hopefully many to come, monthly podcast focused on our history, and this subject was the Ku Klux Klan in the Finger Lakes, the history of it.
In the 20s.
Yeah, in the 1920s specifically.
It was fascinating.
So fascinating, right?
And, you know, he supports his dialogue with pictures and news clippings and...
there are pamphlets from the time, you know, with striking imagery.
It's always cool that stuff makes it, like that there are people like him preserving that stuff.
Right.
That's what the historians do. They hold on to that
and
stuff.
he's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
I love that.
So next month's show, he's going to focus on various cobblestone buildings throughout the Finger Lakes that were built, you know, in the 1700s that have stood the test of time. So every month, Walt Gable's bringing the hits.
I love that.
The history hits. Kenny Haas is back, and he was upset about Ryan Lochte or something. You can check that out. Golf J podcast, the PGA Tour playoffs are getting down towards the end, and the Ryder Cup's coming up, so there's a lot to talk about on that show, which was live on Monday. If you like golf, you'll like that show, I promise. Weber this week had a pair of individuals in, I think Ellie Brown and Ted Flock, from the Trinity Church in Seneca Falls. They have a big fundraiser coming up at the end of the month called Diamonds in Denim, where you actually can win a diamond. So they talked about that.
Also, the name of my new solo record that I released last week is called Diamonds in Denim. Not true.
31st Lap podcast is live Thursday night, 7:15 with Chris Marquardt. The Crash Course, the nation's most popular demolition derby podcast, was live on Monday night. And no Inside the FLX this week because the schedule's been reshuffled with the news we talked about earlier. And the high school basketball schedules are just starting to get released. We're putting together our schedule for our 2016-17 broadcast season of high school basketball on FL1 Sports.
That's so exciting. I love following the high school basketball sports anytime. So, well, I think we have time. We have to wish a special happy birthday to Rose Francis, who turned 99 yesterday.
99 years young.
Oh, my goodness.
In Seneca Falls.
She's been in business in downtown Seneca Falls for 66 years.
And she goes to work every day. As a matter of fact, they had the Generations Bank and maybe the Chamber of Commerce planned a surprise for her. And they knew she'd be at work, so
Yeah.
they just all showed up. And this photo was from the surprise
See that
party.
cake on the table there.
And something tells me next year we will be wishing her a happy 100th and 67 years in business at the Rose Francis dress shop. So
yeah, absolutely.
it really is amazing.
So
that takes
sweet.
energy. You have to have continued energy to keep working and keep working and keep working.
We need
We
to
love what you do.
find out her secret. Yes. Yep. Well, do we have time to talk about our next little bonus topic?
Well, Josh, to fill them in, there's an interesting article on our site. I think the Auburn Citizen published it.
Yeah, check it out. It's towards the middle of our lineup right now on fingerlakes1.com. It gives a brief little history, actually, it's pretty extensive, of the arterial in Auburn, the inception of it, and then sort of how people felt about it along the way and how successful it's been to this point. And
the idea of it, too, is that before, these communities all existed before cars were invented. Mm-hmm. And then cars get invented, and then all of a sudden everything has to change with our infrastructure. And this article does a really good job of, at least in terms of Auburn in northern Cuyahoga County.
Yeah, they build it as sort of the start of the end for downtown. And as these types of arterials were set up, businesses started to develop on the outskirts, create suburbs, and eventually just sort of suck the life out of
I read an article
downtown.
in the Atlantic about how that happened in Chicago, and it was the same thing.
When the cars came about.
Yeah, once they built the highways, everything kind of went south.
It's too bad.
So what's the big shift going to be when cars become obsolete?
Don't know.
Like I'm talking 100 years from now when we're in hover cars or teleporting.
Teleporting, let's hope.
Teleporting. I'm not sure I'd be a fan of that.
It's coming.
I'm not sure I'd be a
it
fan
will
of that.
happen one day, don't you think? Jessamy, do you think that teleporting will happen one day? Or do you think it's...
Matter, transportation, relocation, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Can we get a self-driving car that works first before we jump to any of these other things?
Let's make sure it works.
I'm always trying to think forward.
I like it. Don't get me
That's
wrong.
right.
We love it at fingerlakes1.com.
Yes.
So good job again, everybody. This
Yes.
show has really
Thank you
been
guys for
well
joining
received.
me. Absolutely. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to drop us a line, please send an email to contact@fingerlakes1.com. We'll be back live next Wednesday afternoon at 12:30 for another edition of FLX Weekly. Enjoy the rest of your week and the September weekend here in the Finger Lakes.
Finger Lakes Brewfest on Saturday.
Don't be afraid to say hi to me.
In
Get out
Geneva.
there.